What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. All right, moving on to Denver. They've won 3 in a row, 7 out of 9. In this 9-game span, they're second in offense, 8th in defense. Nikola Jokic in the stretch is averaging 34 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 assists. I pulled this stat yesterday. Like in this stretch, Jokic has basically been putting up the same numbers as Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in their combined season averages this year. Just goes to show you the type of statistical, just sheer production that Jokic is putting out there. Aaron Gordon came back from his injury in a bench role, kind of like a minutes restriction type of deal versus the Mavericks yesterday, and he was awesome. Like Dallas really jumped the Nuggets early. And again, I keep telling everybody, I think Dallas is pretty good. Like even without Kyrie and Luka, I just think they have one of the best rosters in the league. Just so much defensive talent, so much additional ball handling. You saw what Spencer Dinwiddie can do when he's just given the keys to that Dallas offense. It's like he's born to play in that offense. But they kind of jumped Denver early, but Aaron Gordon was a huge part of their comeback. And Russell Westbrook is the main guy that I want to talk about today. He's averaging 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists on 56% from the field. The efficiency for him this year is at an all-time high. I was surprised to see this morning that Russ had never posted an effective field goal percentage. Again, effective field goal percentage is just your field goal percentage with weighted for threes. That's all it is. Doesn't include free throws. It's not true shooting percentage. Just field goals weighted for threes. He's never posted a season over 50% in effective field goal percentage is in his entire career before this season. He's at 52% in effective field goal percentage, 54.3% in true shooting percentage, which is the 4th highest mark of his entire career. The big thing that's swinging that in his favor is his finishing at the rim. Russell Westbrook, in his last season with the Lakers before getting traded, in the 2023 campaign, in 52 games, he shot 51% at the rim per synergy. He's shooting 65.2% at the rim this year for the Denver Nuggets. That's, again, 14% higher than he was his last season with the Lakers, 10% higher than his full season that he had with the Lakers. Another big thing that's driving this is just his cutting to the basket off of Jokic post-ups in particular. He had just 10 cuts in those 52 games in that 2023 season with the Lakers. He's had 28 cuts in 38 games for the Nuggets this year. That's makes on cuts. So 10 made baskets in 52 games last season for the Lakers, 28 made baskets on cuts in 38 games with the Nuggets so far this year. One of the big reasons why cutting off of post-ups is so important, and part of this is like what makes Jokic such a unique player and how he can kind of break down defenses. You know, there was a lot of posting up that was taking place with the Lakers in particular, but their spacing principles weren't very good. And one of the things that would happen in particular too is like when LeBron would post up, Anthony Davis just wasn't a perimeter threat, so it would cause some like kind of spacing issues in the middle of the floor that didn't make things easier for Russ. Again, anytime this kind of stuff happens, it's always a combination of factors, right? Like. Do I wish Russ would have cut more? You bet your ass. I really wish he would have been a more active participant off the ball, moving, screening, just trying to be a threat when he didn't have the ball in his hand. He's definitely doing it more now. Some of that is Russ's fault, but some of it is also Mike Malone and the Nuggets. They're just a more organized offense, especially in post-up situations with their motion. A lot of Lakers post-ups end in guys just kind of standing around on the perimeter. Some of that is a team-wide kind of issue, right? And then the third part of it is Jokic. Like, as good as LeBron James has been in his late career here with the Lakers, I don't think LeBron's had a case to be the best player in the world since like maybe that first stretch right after they won the title in 2020. But like he hasn't been at that level really in the 2022 or 2023 seasons. Like there was a drop off for him. And so like Jokic is better. That makes life easier. The Nuggets are more organized. That makes life easier. Russ has also improved in his participation off the ball, cutting, which is getting him more of those situations. But again, one of the reasons why cutting off of post-ups is so valuable is because usually the guy being posted up is being guarded by a big defender. So if Jokic is being guarded by a big rim protector, think of it like a Gafford or a Lively or something along those lines. Like, and there were even stretches where they put centers on Russell Westbrook in that game yesterday, which I thought was interesting. And that was kind of what was causing problems. Westbrook got 2 cuts, easy ones, right at the rim because they were doubling off of him. Like he pass the ball to Jokic and then just cut to the front of the rim and be wide open, right? And like that's part of the issue with doubling off of the passer is like typically that ends up giving up a wing three, but if you cut off of it, you can get layups out of it as well. But again, if you imagine if you're cutting into the lane in a normal circumstances where a rim protector is waiting on you, it's just really congested and it can be an issue. But if the rim protector is accounted for in the post up, then if you cut behind it, you have an opportunity to finish where there's less traffic. That's why cutting off of post-ups is so important. Russ has been just doing a really good job of it this year. Also shooting threes a lot better. Russ is hitting 36% of his unguarded threes this year per synergy, 1.09 points per shot. He was at just 31% in 2023 with the Lakers, 0.93 points per shot, 32% in his full season with the Lakers in 2022, 0.94 points per shot. So he's like getting an extra 15 points per 100 Russell Westbrook spot-up possessions when he's unguarded. That's a substantial difference. Like there's two parts to playing basketball when you're a guard like Russell Westbrook. There's playing on the ball and playing off the ball. In this case, let's look at it within the context of Jokic. Playing off of Jokic or playing with Jokic. When he's playing off of Jokic, meaning when Jokic is posting up or when he's running two-man game with a different player on the floor, it's about cutting and finishing and hitting wide open threes. He's cutting more than ever, finishing better than ever, and he's hitting his wide open threes. That is the thing that he's doing that is making this work. And then playing with Jokic, it's about him bringing downhill force in the two-man game. When he's attacking in those ball screens or in those dribble handoffs, he gets downhill. When he gets downhill, he engages Jokic's defender as a drop coverage big. When he engages Jokic's defender as a drop coverage big, he can pop the ball back to Jokic as he's trailing the play in the middle of the paint. That's where he gets to his floaters. As a matter of fact, Jokic has hit 10 floaters this year directly off of Russ passes in pick and roll. It's been a big part of their success in the two-man game. The easiest way that I could describe the Russell Westbrook experience, I did not enjoy rooting for Russ when he was a Laker. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm not trying to be unfair. I'm telling you guys how it literally felt. Like when I was watching the Lakers, rooting for him, I wanted Russ to succeed, and it just was bad. He just wasn't the same player. And there were positive moments. I don't want to pretend like it was all bad. Russ did have good games when he was with the Lakers, but it just felt like more bad than good, and it wasn't a fun experience. And I'm not alone in that. If you ask us other Laker fans, the vast majority of them will tell you that rooting for Russell Westbrook was kind of a chore. I really have had fun watching Russ this year. I've enjoyed watching him play basketball. I've enjoyed like watching him kind of experience a little bit of a renaissance. And like, if there's anything to be said here, one of the things that I think is really interesting about competitors in general is like, I always am interested to see how you respond to the downtimes, how you respond to losing, how you respond to things going poorly, right? Like, just as a LeBron fan, one of my favorite things about his career is just his ability to bounce back. Like, kind of had a rough season in the Western Conference Finals year. He had that issue with his foot. He, if you remember correctly, couldn't make a jump shot to save his life. I kept saying after the season, like, man, the Lakers need LeBron to hit jump shots, man. Went into the gym that summer, worked his tail off, and came back as one of the best jump shooters in the league as a 39-year-old. How, like, that's what has made LeBron as great as he's been in his career. It's been an unwillingness to accept playing poorly and a desire to become that kind of like weakness-free basketball player, if that makes sense. It's been a rough go for Russ as of late in the last few years. It's been a mix of bad and good. It's been a lot of slander. A lot of it's come from me. Some of it, most of it deserved because of the way he was playing, right? But the truth of the matter is like, as those times were going poorly, Russ had two options. He could either blame everybody else and pout on his way out of the league, or he could adapt and try to make better of it. Now, in his press conference comments, he's still done a good amount of blame shifting. But in terms of his work behind the scenes and what he's doing on the court, it is clear that he's addressed some of his weaknesses. Teams were leaving him wide open. He needed to knock down shots. He's been knocking down shots. He needed to do more work as an off-ball scorer because he's not going to operate on ball as much as he used to. He's done that work, and he's become a better off-ball scorer, and he's made himself a better basketball player as a result. And again, the easiest way that I can quantify it is I enjoy watching Russell Westbrook play basketball now. Wasn't like that a few years ago in the past. Peyton Watson was great yesterday too. He's plus 30 in 33 minutes. Played a lot with Aaron Gordon on his minutes restriction. Had a gigantic corner three in crunch time on a kick out. He's hit a lot of big shots this year in big spots. Another play too, by the way, on that play, Russell Westbrook cut into the lane. And when he cut into the lane, he didn't get the ball, but Klay Thompson, who was guarding Peyton Watson, came in to kind of help on Russell Westbrook's cut, which is what made the skip pass open. Again, like positive returns that don't show up in the box score. Russell Westbrook being active as a cutter, creating that open corner three for Peyton Watson. The Nuggets are, last guy I want to shout out, Michael Porter Jr. He had a rough shooting game, but he had a couple of huge offensive rebounds, including a clutch putback at the end of that one. And in this 9-game stretch, he's been great. He's at 20 points per game on 52% from the field and 43% from three. The Nuggets are a weird team because they haven't really looked dominant at any point this season. Like even last night, they were down big to the Mavs without Kyrie and Luka, albeit, again, I think that's a good roster. There's some weird first half, second half splits. Like they're 19th in first half net rating, getting outscored by 3.2 points per 100 possessions. They're second in second half net rating, blowing teams out. They're outscoring teams by 11 points per 100 possessions, second only to the Oklahoma City Thunder in second halves of games. And they're fourth in clutch net rating with a 126 offensive rating. And that's what makes them so hard to quit. They seem to be digging themselves in a bunch of holes and like not really looking like a super sharp team every single night. But then they just kind of figure it out. And at the tail end of games, they lean on the stuff that's been working for them for years and they just keep getting wins. And that's why I can't ever write this team off. It's the Jokic factor. It's the continuity factor. You still see Jamal Murray coming off of an action late in a game and it just feels like that shot's going in. Aaron Gordon, it continues to do damage on both ends of the floor. Like you just can't quit these guys because they're capable of beating anybody, even if it doesn't look like they're any sort of world beater at this point in time. So like, again, Nuggets starting to turn the corner a little bit, still missing that like signature stretch this season, but it very well could take place here in the next couple of weeks.